Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and I'm going to start by talking a little bit about elections, and then I'll move on to my private life. It's November 6th, 2024. Trump has just been elected president for the second time. I looked at my phone 6 a.m. in Sweden, which is like midnight, I guess, in New York. And I was like, oh, things are not looking good. And then I wanted to fall asleep again, but I couldn't. So I went to work and decided to dissociate for the day. But I couldn't really dissociate because I was talking about other things that made me emotional, which we'll get to. Anyway, I want to say that, I've never lived in the US. I can vote in US elections because my family is American and I have an American passport. I can vote in Swedish elections. I cannot vote in French elections, even though I grew up in France and have learned the political system there. I learned a little bit about the American political system because I've had to, because I vote in that country. But it does not make much sense, okay? And the US is a really divided country. In the political party is just two-party system. Needless to say, or maybe it's, I have to say it, I vote left, I vote Democrat, and my family has always voted Democrats. My family comes from Maryland, which is a state in the US that is always blue, which voted 80% for Harris in this election. So, it's strange for me because every time I am in the US, I am in a place where most people vote Democrat. So I am a little bit in a bubble where I never meet really Republican people. The Republican people I meet are the people who have subscribed to this channel and have since unsubscribed, I think, because I have lost a lot of people in the past day because I wrote a post about politics in the community tab. I want this channel to remain apolitical, so I'm not going to really talk about politics, but politics is related to real life and I am blogging about my life, so it will make an appearance, I guess, and also it's part of what affects my mental health and it does affect my life. So I can't stay away from politics entirely, even though I don't want to debate politics on my channel. So I saw the results and I decided to dissociate for the day. Now I'm back home after work and it's hitting me a little bit what this actually means. I am sorry for all of those people who live in the US who will be negatively affected by the outcome of this election. And that is women, that is people of color, that is immigrants, that is LGBTQ people, that is poor people, and that is people who need healthcare for a reason or another, people who need childcare for a reason or another, people who who want to get an education and who have to pay exorbitant prices. There are all sorts of people who are affected negatively by Donald Trump being president. I have a hard time seeing the logic behind voting for Trump. I can't really find a logical reason for that, but that's just my mind as somebody who's never lived in the US and who is surrounded by people who are, on the socialist left part of the scale, both in my home country and in the US. So obviously I will have a hard time understanding the arguments. I I don't really understand it. It does confuse me. But that I'm not inviting people to come and explain it to me in the comments, because I don't really want to talk about American politics. I don't want to talk about politics in general on this channel. I've said this several times, but and here I am. But the election is something that has affected my day. But anyway, here we are, and we're still living, we're still alive. We need to stay alive in order to fight for this, for what we believe in. And we're, it's no use us being sad and, giving up. We can't give up. Because it's the time to fight, And I guess that I've been dissociating on and off since 2016, but I think that the difference now is that in 2016 I thought that Trump could not stay president all 4 years. I thought that that would never happen, that there would be some kind of regulations on these sorts of things, like if you get impeached or if you, commit felonies, if you do certain things. I thought that you would be forced to step down, but that is not the case. So now my mindset is a little bit different in that I fully have to prepare for this being my reality for the next 4 years, our collective reality. So that's all I had to say about the election. It does sadden me because I don't see anything good out of this outcome, and it feels like I'm reliving in the worst timeline. But yeah, that was that about the election. Anyway, I had another reason to cry today, which is why a more selfish reason to cry, I guess. Because I had a discussion with my boss at work today, because my supervisor is leaving my work at the end of December, and I need to find a new supervisor and just think about my life in the future. My boss, it didn't go that great, and I think that's because of the fact that me and my boss don't communicate too well with each other, because I just got an autism diagnosis and I had to tell him about that, and he is neurotypical and we misunderstand each other quite a lot. He's an ENTJ and the MBTI, I'm an INFP. He likes things being efficient. He likes, he loves to plan into the future. I don't, there are quite a few things that are difficult. So it felt like when I disclosed my autism diagnosis, he said, "Oh, but you're high functioning. You don't need to put a label on these things." And then he said, "Well, of course you can work part-time." And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't want to work part-time now. Right now I'm doing okay at my placement at the hospital. I'd rather wait until the spring." And then he was confused as to why I didn't want to disclose my autism diagnosis to the geriatrics department at the hospital. Even though I'm only going to be there 3 months, I don't feel like it's worth it. Because I've already done one of those 3 months, so I only have 2 months left at the geriatrics. And so he was confused about that. And then there was also that I told him that there's a certain thing I have to do for my residency that I haven't done because I am stressed out about it. And it's some kind of external person who comes and who inspects how I do. And it's not fun for anybody, but it's especially stressful for me. And I told him, well, I should be doing it this spring, but I don't know if I feel ready. And he said, well, just apply for it now so then you can do it in the spring. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know if I want to do this. And he's like, well, you'll have to do it at some point. You can't just avoid it. Even if it makes you scared, you'll have to do it. Do you want to talk about that certain thing? I said, no, I know what that certain thing is. I don't need to talk about that. And it was like, and then I had, well, you know, I started crying, and I didn't feel like I could express myself well, because I felt like when I'm really upset, I feel like I'm getting a panic attack or a shutdown or something. I feel like my vocal cords are like closing in on themselves, and I get a clump in my throat. And we still had a half hour left in our meeting, you know. And he saw me crying, but I kept talking and kept trying to get through all my points. I had a list of like points to talk about, and I felt like he wasn't really answering them. And I couldn't express what I needed because I don't know. And he wasn't good. I told him I might need the company healthcare in the future if it doesn't work well between the psychologist and the neuro rehab place. And he said, well, it would be best if it worked out with the psychologist and the neuro rehab place. And I said, well, I'm not sure about that. I said, is it okay if in the future I need to have contact with them? And he was like, we'll see. So I'm not sure about that. That was great. And then also I told him about which supervisor I wanted to get, and then it seems like somebody else has picked a supervisor before me, which isn't fair because I happened to be away, so I couldn't like just pick the first supervisor that I wanted. So I don't know if I'll get the autistic doctor as a supervisor because I was too slow, but at the same time I couldn't tell my boss until now. And my boss wanted me to know that I shouldn't be sad that my supervisor is leaving because she's going to better things, or she wasn't doing too well at my workplace, so she's going to another workplace and she'll probably be feeling better there. And I was like, yes, I know that. You know, I think that I'm having more compassion towards my supervisor than my boss is. And I don't know, it just felt like so much misunderstandings. Then I talked to my supervisor for the first time since I found out that she was leaving. And she was so sweet. She said that she'd always be there for me and that I could contact her on Messenger, and that if I'm really feeling bad that she can come to my house and like sit me down and give me a talk. She said she'll always be there for good and for bad. And it really means a lot to me that she's, you know, she cares about me even if she's not going to be working at my workplace. She wants me to do well, and she understands the sorts of problems I have with talking to my boss because she had those same problems. So she kind of empathized with me about me recounting the story, because she said that, you know, the way that I was explaining it made perfect sense, and my boss was not understanding despite me explaining in a totally okay way. Then I also was talking to my to the occupational therapist that works in my workplace. And I told her that I'm autistic, and she seemed to, because she works with a lot of people with autism, she was also very supportive. And she said also that I could contact her even if I wasn't there at my healthcare clinic. And then I ended up talking to the nurse's boss at my workplace. So she's works tightly together with my boss. And I told her the difficulties. There's a nurse at my workplace who just got diagnosed with autism around 6 months ago. So they've had a lot of discussions. The nurse and the nurse boss. So I think that the nurse's boss understands a little bit more about what the diagnosis means, and that she now understands that there is this double empathy problem between autistic people and neurotypical people. So she said that she kind of speaks neurotypical. She didn't say that she speaks neurotypical, but she said that she speaks the language my boss speaks. And so she can be kind of a translator to my boss. So she said, is it okay if I tell my boss what I told her? And I said, yes, she can go and tell my boss about what we discussed, because it felt like I could explain myself better with the nurse's boss rather than my own boss. And so I'm happy for any kind of support. So yeah, that was all of it. But it felt like when I was talking to my boss that he thought that I was trying to avoid things, or that I was being emotional for no reason. I think that he went into this meeting thinking that I would leave my workplace because my supervisor was leaving. And then when I said that, no, I'm staying, then I think that he was a little bit taken aback. I'm not sure really what he was thinking. But so, yeah, I've cried in front of many people today, and it wasn't even because of the election. So, yeah, I am so touched by people's kindness and support. And I don't hold it against people that misunderstand me. I just don't like that if people blame me for my struggles, that I don't accept that. And I don't accept people who, are actively working towards making my life difficult, which thankfully I don't have that kind of person in my life. My boss is just has a different way of thinking, and he also is not really in the world of autism. He doesn't understand it really, I don't think, yet. I did end up coming out to the autistic doctor today, both as gay and as autistic. He's the one who has actually seen my channel. We'll see how the future goes, but it has been really tough for me today. Just because of my work and because of the elections. And I'm going to try to not think about these things in the near future. I have a meeting with my psychologist on Monday, so I hope to discuss a few things there, because I haven't talked to the psychologist since before my summer vacation. So that's been a few months. And I haven't told my psychologist yet about my autism diagnosis, so that's going to be a thing. Yeah, I'm still alive, I'm still okay. I keep going, you know. I think I've gotten really good at dissociating, but it's not very good for my emotional regulation. So I need to find a way to manage these emotions. I need to find support wherever I can, and it's difficult for me when I find out that part of my support is disappearing or not working, you know. Finding out that my supervisor is leaving, or finding out that my boss isn't understanding me, or finding out that my psychologist is not really working with me the way that I maybe need. Yeah, that's all I have to say for today. Keep fighting. My day might have been shitty, and yours might have been too. I will see you again in another video. Have a great day.